Most people see video games as a distraction, a waste of time, and in many instances, I would actually agree with them. It can potentially distract from a lot of other fulfilling opportunities that might come up in our lives. But what if I told you it may not just be a distraction? It could also completely change the trajectory of your life for worse, or maybe for better. The past year and a half has been a really challenging time in my life. I've been struggling with depression, hopelessness, lack of direction, issues in my relationship, and there was one seemingly mundane detail that tied all of this together, and it was the way that I played video games, specifically competitive games like Counter-Strike. My habit has always been to jump into a deathmatch, which is basically a practice mode. There's no stakes. It's an instant gratification of being able to combat other players, but there's no real reward to reap at the end of it. And the reason I wasn't queuing is because I was scared. I was scared of getting flamed by my teammates, of screwing up, of losing games, and I didn't want to experience the discomfort of all of those things. But what I really wanted was to feel confident queuing for a video game. And going back to my real life, feeling good about my relationship, my path with my career, and other aspects of my life that had just kind of fallen apart. So at the suggestion of my partner and a mutual friend of ours, I started going to therapy. I started attending a support group. I just took baby steps in order to begin to get my life back on track. I even considered going back to school. And you know what else I did? I finally hit the queue button for a competitive game. And it didn't happen right away, but I was starting to feel better. I realized no amount of training or deathmatch that I played was going to prepare me for my first game. I had to just jump into it and accept whatever happened. And it was the same with therapy. I had this preconceived notion of what it would be like. And after the amount of sessions I've been to for the past few months, I realized I'm going in a completely different direction than I thought when I first started. But here's where the real challenge came in, and this gets me so many times in my life. I had to stay consistent. Of course, there were points with my support group where I thought, I don't need to go today. Well, I could spend that time enjoying a show, playing a game, or something like that. And as soon as I had that thought, 2 weeks went by, 3 weeks went by where I didn't attend. And finally, it was that mutual friend I mentioned before who encouraged me to go back, and I begrudgingly decided to attend the next one. And you know who I met at that next one? A fellow streamer. And suddenly something changed. My perception of this is a chore I have to do became, this is something I look forward to. I'm developing a deeper connection to these other people, and it's seriously enriching my life. And to parallel that with Counter-Strike, I encountered mean teammates. I encountered nice teammates. I encountered opponents who were really rude, but that didn't stop me from playing. I just had to let those go and continue, hit queue for the next game. And it also shifted my mindset in a really important way. I used to get so frustrated when I would lose a game, and I would always run through all these options of what could I have done better? And the reality is, there's always things we can do a little bit better. But I started to focus on one thing I could do better each round. And if we lost and it had something to do with my teammates, then that was okay. It's not that big of a deal. I just felt accomplished for having jumped into a game. So with that, I ended up enrolling in college again, going back and taking a class. And I'm really enjoying it now. But this leads me to a new issue. I don't have any time to play games because I'm spending all of it doing freaking homework. But while Counter-Strike has a reputation of being a really toxic game and something that can really pull you deep into it and cause you to disregard a ton of obligations in your life, I found that it had quite the opposite effect for me. So I'd like to offer you a perspective, and it's that the things that you practice in a game, the things you're afraid of, the things that challenge you are parallels to your real life and opportunities to figure out what you need to work on and simplify the goals of what you should achieve, because we all know life can be really overwhelming, and I think breaking it down into small steps, like I mentioned at the beginning, is a really critical way of approaching it. Anyways, if you'd like to see any of my Counter-Strike gameplay live when I do actually play it, or if you just want to hang out and chat, Be sure to check me out on Twitch Mondays and Fridays. We also have a Discord where I would love to chat with you. The link for both of those will be down in the description. If you found this video helpful in any way, consider liking and subscribing, and I hope to see you in the next one.